Okay, good afternoon once again. So in a smaller version of Moon Mystery and Hills, let me go ahead and draw a quick final. This small version really isn't a final. It really is what we call in art a color study. And it's just me very quickly seeing what colors I like, because sometimes you got to experiment with that. And in this case, because it is such a small piece of black paper, it'll go rather quickly. Now our concept I just drew for you, and it will be uploaded to Google Classroom so you can see how that went. But in your concept and your final, you have to have certain elements. You've got to have the moon, you've got to have a tree, you've got to have some mist, water vapor, and you've got to have a couple of hills, okay? And you can have mountains, you can have lakes, you can have waterfalls, you can have castles, you can have a whole bunch of other stuff, but you got to have those basic elements. Now, here I have a black piece of paper, and you know, with just regular pencil on black paper, I can actually do a pretty good job planning, and of course, I've got an eraser if I make a mistake. So here I get started. I'm going to go ahead and make a trunk of my tree, and it spreads out and it forms a Y, okay? And inside that Y, I have to have a V. So the point of the V is somewhere in this area where the Y separates, and the arms of the V, see how the arm of that V, the right arm, kind of runs parallel to the tree here on the right side, and the arm of this V, this is the left arm of this V, runs parallel to the side of the tree over here on the left side. So try to maintain that relationship of lines running parallel. So this line, this left arm of the V runs parallel to the left side there of the tree. These run parallel. Just kind of keep practicing that so your branches don't get too small too fast, okay? I don't want to see those branches get too skinny mini. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just take this right off the page here. Let's break that branch. Remember, we have the option of breaking the branch. Let's say I want to put one more branch in over here. It's easy to do. Just knock a hole in the tree with your eraser and insert another Y. Okay, there's my other Y. You see, there's one part of the Y, there's the other part of the Y, and here's one part of the V, and here's another part of the V right there. So there's my other branch on the other side. I think that's kind of a nice addition. I think it kind of balances things out a little bit. I'm going to put this branch a little bit in front of that branch, maybe this branch a little bit in front of that branch, just by continuing that line a little bit. And I think I'm good. Maybe this branch is behind that side of the trunk, so we see the trunk coming down on top of it. Now, what else do I need to have? Well, I'm going to go ahead and make a very small moon, and it's going to be very elliptical. Elliptical means oval, so I'm going to do a small moon. Don't ask me why, but I just felt in the mood to do a small moon. And I'm going to go ahead and do my mist, because remember, this is kind of a demonstration piece that is meant to go quickly. So there's my mist, and then here, very lightly, there's a hill. There's a hill. I draw lightly, then I go back and reinforce, and I'm ready to go. Now, one of my favorite pencils to use, and you know that you can always test on the back, right? One of the favorite pencils to use is the gold. It gives me a very bright value, a nice contrast with the black, and of course it fades beautifully into the blackness of the night sky. The silver, likewise. These are both Crayola products. These Crayola metallics, and you can kind of recognize them because they have a luster or a shine or a sheen to their outside paint job, are really, really good for black paper, and generally Crayola products are very good. Here's just a few of the Crayola metallics that we have to pick from. They should be mixed up in with your other pencils. They all work really, really good on black paper. Now, here's another set that works really good. Any of these pencils that have a black shaft, a black shiny paint on their shaft, and they're called construction paper pencils, and they're made by the Sargent Company. Here's a yellow made by Sargent Company construction paper pencil, it says here on the shaft. And these yellows are especially good to have handy because there aren't too many yellow pencils that work well on black paper. This is one of the only ones that does, this particular type of pencil made by the Sargent Company. Under the camera, it may not look that great, but it really is one of the better ones that you can get a hold of as far as yellow goes. Sometimes these Prismacolor pencils, and they are good quality pencils for white paper, sometimes they work just fine on black paper. I didn't think this green would work out, but actually for a dark green, that's pretty decent. You notice how it's got some intensity to it. This brown, Well, it's called terracotta. This brown also works real well. Now these are darker values, but they still work real good. And here's a purple. This is a Sargent made for construction paper. Really, really dark, but there's still some intensity there, some brightness. And so we like that one too. Here's a red that works pretty good. Now there's some intensity to that color, but let me go ahead and grab a Prismacolor red right here. Now that says Crayola. Let's grab Prismacolor. No, that says something else. Let's grab Prismacolor. There we go. And you notice, oh, well, that's not bad. So there are a few Prismacolors. This is a carmine red. This is kind of a brick red. They're a little bit different. They're both good reds. Sometimes the reds don't work, and very often the yellows don't work. Here's another Prismacolor green that works really good. Here's another Prismacolor blue that works really good. Oopsie, broke the tip. Here's a Prismacolor gray that works really good. Whoops, broke the tip. Here's a construction paper white that works really good. Doesn't look very different from the gray over there. So we've got a lot to pick from, really, even though many of them don't work so good. Now I'm going to take my metallic, and this is my tree right here. So the first thing I do is take the color that I want to use, and I lay it down lightly, okay? And remembering that you can go very lightly and evenly, and if you do make mistakes, it's super easy. Oops, there's something under the paper there. I don't know what that is, a little bump of something. Remember that you can lay the color down lightly, go quickly, make a few mistakes lightly, and it's really easy to correct your mistakes with an eraser if you're going lightly. That's why I'm able to go lightly and fast, okay? But here pretty quick, I'm going to slow down because I don't want to go quickly and make a mistake. I want to slow down. I press a little harder, and in pressing harder, not make a mistake, because you know if you're pressing hard, getting a really strong color and making a mistake, boy, is it hard to correct. Now notice how I turn the paper with my left hand, because my left hand is controlling the movement of the paper and getting things smoothed out there with a little going over the extra different direction. And here, catching those edges, catching those edges. Looks a little bit wonky down here. Let me see if I can get rid of that line. All right, yeah, that's okay. We're gonna go back and smooth out later, okay? That's not too bad. Now, my moon, remember, is over here on the right side. Now, it doesn't have to be a metallic and it doesn't have to be silver, but the silver's handy and I like the silver, and I'm gonna use the silver. Now, this moon is also gonna be shaded, okay? Now, notice I go lightly, and then because I can, I'm gonna go a little more heavily, and this gives me a brighter value, a lighter value, sometimes a more intense color. And there's my moon. Let me smooth out that right there. So remember, this is just me being experimental on a small piece of paper so I can save some time. And you know what? I think I want to add a little color to that extra color. So I'm going to drop a little bit of yellow in there and see what that little bit of yellow looks like against that silver. That's not bad. Okay, I'm kind of okay with that for right now. Maybe I'll come back and revisit that later on. Meanwhile, this is my light source right here, okay? This bright moon. It's on the right side of my branches. So any branch on the right side, like this is the right side of this branch, and this is the right side of that branch, and this is the right side of that one. And here's the right side of the trunk, okay? Right side, left side. And here is the right side of this branch. See, right side, left side. And here is the right side of that branch and that branch. So any right side, any side facing the light is going to be, guess what, bright. So there I have the bright and the dark. Now remember, we are going to go from bright to dark through a range of tones, a range of values, especially important when you're going along a curved surface. Now where's the curve on the tree trunk? Well, there it is. It's going left to right. And where's the curve here? Well, it kind of goes at an angle. Here, let me draw a line. There's a curve there, there's a curve there, there's a curve there, there's a curve there. So pretty much perpendicular to this line is the curve, the direction of the curve, okay? Perpendicular means that that intersects there at 90-degree angles either side, and here's the curve there. So we're just going to follow the curve. Here I go, dark or light to dark. And by the time I'm in the middle of that branch right there, I am done, done, done. And the branches get smaller, so that means you're finished faster. If it's a smaller branch, you're finished faster. So not much work to do going light to dark, but you got to control the pressure on the tip of the pencils to give you those medium values. Let's get a brightness there. Let's work on the trunk down here. It requires more work because, well, it's bigger, and I've got to cross a little more distance before I can call it quits on that one. You can always go back and hit your lighter values again and make them lighter still. And of course, the difference between light and dark is important to establish the full range of values that you want to use in order to make things look three-dimensional. Now let's see how that's looking. I'm kind of concerned about this area down here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and there's a branch, not a branch, there's a root there, there's a root there. Okay, there's a root going into the ground there, a little brightness there going across, a little brightness there going across that root, brightness there. So even the roots, like your fingers, can be shaded light and dark, okay? So we have light to dark, light to dark, light to dark. Now notice how this side, the right side, looks way more three-dimensional because of those additional middle values than any of these branches over here on the left side. And all I have to do is add those middle values that wrap across the surface to make that side of the tree also look more three-dimensional. So here I go, light, medium, and dark, light, medium, and dark, light, medium, and dark, okay? And remembering we get to those smaller branches, it goes a little more quickly. Their break right there, I'm going to put a little flash of light right there as if the edge of the break catches some of the light from the moon. Light to dark there. Let's make sure that that is smoothed out and looking natural. Nothing too scratchy or too rapid. Light to dark here. Light to dark here. Now I'm going to put in a bright, shining red star here in just a little bit. Or maybe it'll be a purple star, or maybe it'll be a green star. I'm going to put one more star at in the distance, and it's going to throw a little bit of light down on the tree, okay? Let's get that cleaned up. So what do you think? Is that looking pretty good? Let's smooth that out there. Let's brighten this right here a little bit. So you see now the left side and the right side both look pretty 3D, and it's the modeling of the form, the dark, medium, and light that wraps around the form, and it's looking pretty good. Now, I think, let me go ahead and do this blue right here. This is a nice blue. This blue, there's a distant star over here, and it's bright blue, and because it's on the left side, it drops a little bit of blue light on the left side of every branch, okay? So I'm not going to use very much blue light, but it's kind of a nice, fun, and somewhat eerie way, hello October, eerie way to add some very unusual color to your tree. In this case, it'll be that blue cast falling across the tree. You can do a little light, medium, and dark on that as well. Now, down here with the mist, let's try this yellow out. I'm just going to go over my mist. Let's finish this one up. It's a ribbon of mist, and like I've always done, press lightly so the surface stays dark. In this case, it'll be the black of the paper that you're looking at for the most part. And then I'm going to have some fun blending colors on the mist. I might go with a light to dark there, a light. This is pretty arbitrary. You kind of pick yourself where you want the light and dark to go. Notice how I flip that paper around to get myself into all those hard to reach edges and corners. This is going to be bright again here. This is going to be bright again here. Bright again there. Bright again there. Bright again there. Let's see what we got. Well, it's kind of working out. That's kind of sudden right there. What are we going to add? What are we going to add? Well, let's add some of this red. And red and yellow are going to make an orange. So that might be kind of cool. And the red is darker than the yellow, and that's kind of cool. So here we go. A little bit of red mixed in with a little bit of yellow to give you a little bit of orange, and a little bit of a blended effect going on there. Not bad. I wonder what would happen if I just tossed in a little bit of silver along these higher edges. Oh look, a little bit of flash of bright light along these top edges, catching the moonlight. That's kind of fun. All right. Not my favorite, but it's okay. And for the hills, I'm just going to scrub in a little bit of green, and a little bit of green, and a little bit of green. And I'm also going to go dark to light or light to dark with the hills. Here's light, and here is dark, okay? And here is light, and here is dark. 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 So for a quick color study, that's not, oops, looks like it's a little shabby over here. Let's see if we can finish this up. Caught that just in the nick of time. So for a color study, this is not bad. It was a good way to experiment and try different colors to see what works. Some things I like, some things I don't like. Your final's going to be a lot better than this, okay? You don't have to ever do a color study, but every once in a while you may want to play around on a piece of scrap paper just to see if you like the effects, trying out new colors and new combination of the color, okay? Now, you try.